talking to y'all. I'm on my lunch break, but why starting over at 40 is such an important thing to do, or why it's scary. So today I worked at my job. I'm still at work. I'm on my lunch break, and I had a patient that I'm going to tell you, this blew my mind because it made me understand how fortunate I am as a radiology technologist, MRI technologist, to not let fear hold me back in going back to school for something that nobody knew what it was. I didn't even really know what it was, and that's to become a radiologic technologist. Going back at an older age, I just saw a comment in my social media where someone commented that they just finished a 30-year teaching career. They were a teacher for 30 years, and guess what they did? They decided to go back to school for radiology technology. And you know what they said? It was the best thing that they ever did. So if you are wondering, should you go back to school for radiology or anything, and you're not sure, you're thinking, is this a smart idea? Let me tell you a conversation I just had with a patient. The patient got off the scanner and they wanted to talk to the gentleman that got him off, my coworker. I was finishing up some things and my coworker said, "Hey, Chandria, the patient wants to talk with you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I thought he wanted to complain maybe about something I did. I don't know. I was thinking the worst. But he was like, "Hey, I got a question. I'm thinking about going back for this. Do you think it's smart?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, he must not follow me. So he obviously he didn't. And I'm so glad he asked me because it reaffirmed to me that you're never too old to start something new. And that the career that I chose in radiology technology was very smart. Very, very smart. What I wanted to do was be a meteorologist. I always wanted to be on news. I had people in my life that were news reporters and in TV, and I really enjoyed that. I like talking, as you can see. But that's not where things went. And I started back over after having my own business since the age of 16, doing hair for many years, and took care of myself very well doing it. And I got really ill and had to move back home. Had to sell everything, had to sell everything but my car and my bedroom set. I was at the lowest I had ever been in my life. Um, of course, I was in my 20s, so life has happened since then. There have been many other low occasions, but that was the lowest I had ever been in my life. Have to move back home in my old bedroom. So this patient here, uh, he let me know that he was about to start over because of some life changes. And I mean, how many of us have been in a position where maybe we have health issues? Like me, I had to lose my business because of health issues and start all over, and radiology was that option. And the other thing is being able to have a career in healthcare where you have options. People a lot of times say, "You're too old to go back at 30. You're too old to go back at 40." No, you're not. I was in my mid 20s. My husband was in his late 20s when we went back for school for radiology technology. And we've done multiple things within this profession. It has paid our bills. No, we're not rich, but neither is any other healthcare profession. Doctors work every day because they got bills. If they were rich, they would not be out there hustling doing these surgeries, hustling seeing patients, working at hospitals, pulling call, working nights. So, any particular field that you work, if you're working, you working because you need the money. I don't know anybody but maybe Jeff Bezos and the people, Bill Gates, that work for free. And I don't say they work for free, but who really don't clock in at anybody's job and have to work ever again in their lives. But those of us do, even doctors. So when people say, "I wish I would have chose something else in radiology, or don't choose radiology," I'm here to say I'm very happy with my decision. Could I have made a better decision on some of the career? Yeah, sure could have. But I have family members that are in nursing, and they've left nursing and gone to school for something else because they were burned out. They didn't like it anymore. And my purpose in saying that is not to knock nursing, but to just show people that whatever decision you make, you have to pivot in life. You have to pivot and be willing to pivot no matter what choice you make. Sometimes things just aren't working anymore. You got to change. Don't be afraid to move. Don't be afraid to change. Don't let anybody talk you out of going to school for radiology technology, adding another certification to your registry. taking on new responsibilities at a job because you want to maybe explore some different things. I work with a gentleman. I remember when he first came in years ago as an MRI tech, and I watch him now, and I see him moving into, doing certain things, taking the lead on certain things because his confidence has grown as an MRI technologist. And it's good to see because this person is saying, you know what? Then I want to, well, if somebody asks something in the chat, I would gladly answer, but it has to be pertaining to what I'm talking about. Okay. So someone in the comments, Ben Goody, made a comment that I'm not commenting to the chat. I am, but it's when something is pertaining to what my page is about. Okay. Thanks, Ben. If this isn't what you're wanting to hear, you can leave. I'm not gonna say you have to stay here. But this is what I'm talking about. So if you want to talk about something else, you should probably find the right algorithm. So you're in a wrong algorithm. That's not what I'm talking about here. So anyway, we're talking about radiology and medical imaging and making a career change in your 40s, in your 30s, not being afraid to do that. That's what we're talking about. So if you're just joining, that is what we're talking about. Not talking about anything else. And like I encouraged my patient today who asked me, should they go back to school at a certain age? Or should they not go to radiology? Will AI take over radiology like it took over the job that they were in that they got laid off from? And my answer is always, you never know. You don't know what these jobs are going to do. But what you do know is go to school for something that moves you to do whatever it is that you feel you could do to take care of your family. And for me, that's what I feel. I feel like this profession has really done that. I feel like has really done that, and we are able to, we are able to take care of our families. And that's something that I really appreciate about being a radiology technologist. So, if that's something that maybe you've wanted to do and you haven't been able to do, then don't let other people talk you out of what it is that you want to do, no matter your age. Radiology is a great profession. I'm happy with it, and hope you guys enjoyed this live, and hope that encourages you to not hold back from what it is that maybe you thought about doing. And just because you feel like you're too old, if you're going to, yeah, so if you feel like you're going to do something else. So for me, as a radiology technologist, I don't just press buttons. I've been an educator. I own my own business. I just wrote a children's book. So, that is one of the things that I definitely, 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 I'm going to put Ben in a timeout. How about that? Ben's in a timeout because Ben doesn't know how to properly act in a live. Y'all can do that. Everybody's not welcome to your live. So as my patient really was concerned and wondering about our profession, because like he said, I had never heard of this profession before. And he would like to have flexibility of schedule because for so long he had been tied to that particular job. And that's the beautiful thing about what we do. You can work multiple shifts, first, second, third shift as a radiology technologist. You can be an educator, you can be administrator, you can be in sales, you can travel, you can be in clinical applications, you can be in informatics, you can be in PACS, data analyst, image analyst. You can do a lot of things. I have several bosses that have moved forward from being nuclear medicine technologists to, guess what? Operations managers, directors of operation of hospitals. There are so many things you could do. I have a friend that was an ultrasound technologist, and now she owns 2 ultrasound facilities, imaging centers. Like, people are real business owners. So I hope this encourages you all to think about options that you have when it comes to becoming a medical imaging professional. Have a great day. Enjoy your afternoon. Drive safely if you're in traffic.